This is a three-phase AC motor, looks like this. This is a foot-mounted motor, we can call it. This is a single-phase motor. As soon as you see a AC motor, when you see it, how to identify it as three-phase or three-phase is simple thing is normally in a single phase there will be a black box like thing will be there. Okay, it is called a capacitor. What we use, because like unlike three-phase motor, as I told, it can be just you give a connection, it will automatically run it. For a single phase, it cannot be possible. By using this capacitor, what they use it, they instead of single phase, they convert it. They make it as a two-phase one, and then making a starting purpose, they use this particularly. Once that it has reached the required speed, its capacitor may not be required for our using purpose. So single phase and other things, if you take it. One more important thing is, if you take three-phase or single phase, let us say you have 1 HP motor is there. A 1 HP motor of three-phase will be small compared with a single phase. Single phase motor looks very big for a 1 HP. We cannot have very high power motors in single phase, because single phase it cannot have all the amount of copper to putting in there. So if you compare 1 to 1, if you take single phase motor looks bigger for the same power of three phase. Please understand this. So three phase to single phase, that is important. You will not get in the same frame size. You will not get it. Single phase. Okay. Now we'll go a bit deep into the AC motors. In the AC motors, they are basically divided into two. One is called synchronous motor. Another one is called induction motor. This induction motor means, it is again called, some people call it as, in the three more words they use it. Please don't get confused, all are same. Induction motor is also called as asynchronous motor. It is also called as squirrel cage motor. They also call it as squirrel cage motor, induction motor, or asynchronous motors. Most of the motors which we use in our applications are induction motors only. That is, whatever 1 HP, 2 HP, what we are talking about, this one we are using in our industrial applications, most of the motors are induction motors only, which are all asynchronous motor, which are off the shelf anywhere, like Kirloskar, if you take our NGF, if you take Siemens, if you take Bharat Bijli, all these people manufacture as per standards the induction motors only. That is, asynchronous motors only are available with reference to certain standards. These standards are such when they made the same motor of any company. If you take it, it can be easily replaced with available motor also. Whether it is except American, any European, Chinese, any motor, if you bring it, of let us say you bought motor of 5 kilowatt, 1500 RPM motor is there. If it is an asynchronous motor, 1:1, you can replace it. The fixing holes, the shaft diameter, everything, center height, everything will be same, except slightly length and width will be slightly more. So that is a major advantage of a induction motor for usage. And they're off the shelf, you can get it, all these things. Please note, important point is, so the induction motors are standardized throughout the world. And DC motors, up to some extent, they're standardized, whereas the synchronous motors, BLDC or whatever, they're not at all standardized. They're all made to the requirement of the customer or for the application. So there is no standardization there. So induction motors, that is what we are talking is all standardized. 1:1, we can replace it from the company. If you got if you are using a Siemens motor, if some problem is, let us say 5.5 kilowatt, 1500 RPM Siemens motor is there. Due to some reason, if it has spoiled, you need not have to wait for Siemens motor. You can go for any other company which is standard-wise they manufacture it. I'll just show you how that variation is there when I'm discussing it. Okay, coming to that, you are telling synchronous and induction. Sir, what is synchronous and asynchronous? Synchronous is as soon as you come, first you made some questionnaire I've given you, you had made it. So synchronous is meant, it is actually synchronous speed we call it as. So the synchronous speed means the rotational speed of rotor is same as stator speed. Stator speed, I'm calling it as rotating magnet, because we are supplying AC current. AC where we connect it in a motor, if you take, there is a stator and rotor. In the induction motor, we don't give any supply to the rotor. We give supply only stator only, stator coils. There will be copper coils will be there in stator when we give a connection to that. As soon as you give it, there will be rotating magnetic field will be developed. Of course, we cannot see that field. It is the rotating magnetic, because it is a sinusoidal supply is there, there will be rotating magnetic field will be there. Okay, you are talking about rotating magnet, sir. At what speed it rotates? That speed is called the synchronous speed, we call it as. That speed is called synchronous speed, which is given by an equation. Speed directly proportional to frequency, it will be whatever the frequency is there, with the speed is directly proportional to the frequency. So in that case, even the rotation speed of rotor also will be same as the stator speed. Then that motor is called a synchronous motor. Okay. Example, I'm giving you AC servo motor, which people can understand better. Use it purpose. Second one is called asynchronous motor. The asynchronous motors, what happens is rotor speed is less than the stator speed. That means the rotor speed is not same as the synchronous speed, what we are talking, which is of stator speed. So that's why we call it as asynchronous. The same motor we call it as induction, and also we call it as slip ring. Why induction and slip ring? I'll tell you in the next slide. So rotor speed is less than synchronous speed. So all induction motors are all asynchronous motors only. It can be single phase or three phase. Okay, let us understand what is that synchronous speed. We'll have an equation that is very important for us for our all AC motors. So synchronous speed, as I given you, is equal to 120 F by P. I don't want to talk about how that equation has come and all. We can talk, but that is not our purpose of this training session. So to understand what is 120 F means, F is nothing but the frequency of the supply. As I told you, a lot of people say that what is that when we get a power to house, what are all things will come? Some people say that current will come. No, no, no. Never use this word current supplied. Current will come. Current will get generated when you supply voltage of certain voltage through a conductor. When you are supplying, when you measure across the this one, the current will be developed into that. So the supply is always voltage only, but at some frequency. There is no current supplying to that. Please remove from our minds that current is supplied by. Current is a colloquial word what we use in our houses and all. Let us remove that word when we are technically we are talking. Current is get developed when you pass voltage through any conductor of with a certain resistance, because that's a V is equal to IR when we call it as voltage when we supply to a resistance. Resistance means nothing but a copper wire. When you supply with a resistance, then current will get generated. So the supply will be always for us to, when we give a supply to the motor, you will get voltage and then frequency. So this is the F is the frequency here. P is the number of poles. Number of poles. The poles can be 2, 4, 6, 8. Like what we understand, what we studied when we were college and other things, the electricity development and other things comes from the magnetism. The magnetism always we'll talk about North Pole and South Pole. So North Pole, South Pole, there are only two poles should be there. Always should be there. One should be North and South. Then only your magnetic action will take place, because any magnetic thing is coming, the opposite poles will get attracted. Same poles will not get attracted. So these poles we are talking is two magnetic poles only. So minimum that should be in 2 and multiples of that. It can be 2 pole or it can be 4 pole, 6, 8, 10, 12 or something will be there. So like how it has been shown here, there is a 2 poles here. There is a 4 pole, 2 north, 2 south. There is a 6 pole, 2 south and other things. So number of poles can be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 and all. But in the standard motors, normally it will be 2, 4, 6, 8 only generally we use. Most of the manufacturers and other thing, they can standardize it as 2, 4, 6, 8, which caters to the maximum use number of people. Of course, there are specialized motors are available. People make with 10 pole and 12 pole also. But standard wise, if you take any catalog from any Bijli, Bharat Bijli or NGF or Siemens, you get from 2, 4, 6, 8 only. So if you take 2 pole going with 50 hertz, what will be the synchronous speed will be? You can see here. So poles if it is 50 hertz. 60 hertz frequency is not available in India. It is available in America and some places in Europe and other places it is available 60 hertz. But in India we are using 50 hertz only. So if it is a 2 pole motor, if you take, the synchronous speed is 3000. If it is 4, it is 1500. 6 is 1000. 8 is 750. So this whatever this 3000, 1500, 1750 is the synchronous speed. As a synchronous speed means it is a stator rotating magnetic field, which is not available to the the magnetic field which is rotating in the stator will rotate at these RPMs, 3000, 1500, and 1000 and 750. It will be rotating here. It will be rotating. As I told you, in a synchronous motor, if you take a synchronous motor, even the rotor also rotates at same synchronous speed. Whereas our induction motors, they never rotate at this speed. They rotate at slightly lower than the synchronous speed. That is actually a principle that is a principle of AC induction motor only. Because of that only, it never rotates to the maximum speed. It will be there. So the difference between that one, we call it as a slip. We call it as everywhere, a lot of places we call it as slip and other things. Okay. So what is why synchronous the induction motor? What we are talking is what I told you. The induction motor is called a asynchronous motor. I told him that means the rotor speed is not same as stator speed. Why, sir? Why that is not there? Why even then how we are using it? Can you see this video here? The GIF file. Here we are saying is there is let us say this square. This one what we are seeing is an stator, and the rotor instead of rotating, it is moving forward and backward. It is a magnetic, one south and one north pole is there. It is a magnet. It is moving forward and going backward. So if you see here in the voltage when we are connected, so we are given a power supply to these wires when we connected a voltage this one. So how the voltage is varying, you can see when it is going inside fully, when it has gone inside, the voltage is becoming 0. Just I'll put it. I don't know whether I can lock it. You can see now this is fully gone inside, then it is voltage has become 0. When it has gone out, the voltage is minus. When it is going inside, the voltage is becoming plus. That means when the magnet which is moving linearly, when it has become stopped means that means when there is no movement in the stator rotor movement, if it is not there, the voltage developed inside that one will become 0. Whereas you're able to see this is called Faraday's laws of induction. When it is coming out, the voltage is becoming negative. When it is going inside, the voltage is becoming positive. When it is completely gone inside and stopped for some time, the voltage is becoming 0. It means what? When there is no rotation of the rotor inside the rotor in a power supply conductor inside, if you put any magnetic material, when it is fully, if it is rotating only, the voltage gets induced into that. If it is not rotating, the voltage will not be getting induced. That means it cannot become the same speed as the rotating magnetic field speed. It should not become. If it becomes both same, then voltage will not transmit to the rotor, and then rotor will become slowly. It will become 0 speed. It will be. So always there should be a difference between the speed difference should be there between the rotor and stator. Then only the continuously the rotor will be moving it. We'll see in the other this one here. So this is a Faraday's law of induction. Whenever a conductor placed means you are keeping it or rotated inside a magnetic field, EMF is induced. EMF means nothing but electromagnetic force gets induced into the rotor. As I told you, you are given a supply to the stator. So a rotating magnetic field will be created. When into this one, when you introduce a conductor, whether it is linear or rotor, a magnetic field EMF gets induced into the rotor from the rotating magnetic field. If this conductor circuit is closed, EMF induced current into the conductor. That means both, as soon as electromagnetic force gone into that, and if it is not allowed to go out of that rotor, and if it stops at the ends, the current gets induced into that. If the current gets induced, it gives a force to the rotating element and it starts rotating it. That means torque also gets generated. So this is a Faraday's law of induction. How this has been made to rotor, we'll see next slide. You can see here in this. So this magnet, you are moving it in this direction. Motion will be here. Current will be passing through the perpendicular direction. So torque will be, motion is nothing but the torque what it is getting generated. So we'll see here the same thing. There we have seen linear motion. Here we are seeing rotary motion. So if you see here, there is a north pole and south pole. Let us say let us take a 2-pole AC motor. When you take 2-pole AC motor, one north pole, one south pole will be there. You are given supply to that. So there will be rotating magnetic field which will be running at synchronous speed. when it is moving into that, it gives a it induces a electromagnetic force. It induces EMF into the rotor conductor into the. So because it is inducing, we call it as induction motor also. Because the inducing means it is pushing into the rotor. This one. So that's why we call it as induction motor. We call it as. Okay. Since rotor is a short circuited, current flows. What is it? Short circuit. Short circuit means can you see here the bottom, sir? There is a this is a rotor. These are all the copper copper slots have been provided, and both ends there is a copper round piece is there. Here also there is a copper is there. That means due to the induction, what happens? The current will get in electromagnetic force get induced into this rotor. The rotor and electromagnetic force will give you electrical current. Electrical current when goes into that, it is not going out of this. It is stopped here. Stopped here means that is what I am talking is rotor is short. That means this rotor is short means both ends are connected. That means the current which is coming into the rotor, it is not going out of the rotor at all. So it is staying in the rotor only. Because it is rotor, the current is there. That produces a force. How the force will be produced? You can see here. The force will be induced current is here. Force will be producing in the other direction, in the perpendicular direction. This is the along with the coils. The dark blue one you can see it now, sir. Along the coils, the current will be passing. Perpendicular to that, the force will be acting here. Force will be there. Perpendicular to when you are acting at the tangential side, when you are acting it like this here, it will give a rotational movement. That will give a rotational movement like this. So until this current is passing through that continuously, the rotation will be taking care. So what is happening? The rotating magnetic field of synchronous magnetic field is inducing a EMF into that. EMF is producing a current which is going along the width of the rotor. Because both ends of the rotor is closed, the current will not pass through that. It will not go out of that. It will be there. This current will produce you at force perpendicular to that. The force in turn will give you torque to that. So like that, the continuous rotation will be taking it. As we explained in the previous slide, suppose, okay, now the current has passed, the rotor is rotating continuously and is trying to reach the speed of synchronous speed. But if it reaches complete to the synchronous speed, if it reaches, current won't induce. As that law when we are what we are saying it, if it has reached to the same 3000 RPM, if it is reaches, current will not induce because both direction will voltage will be cut off and current will not induce, and torque won't generate. When torque won't generate, what happens? The speed will start coming down because there is no current will not be there, torque will not be generated, rotation will not be there, it will be coming down. Once it comes down again, what happens? The current starts producing into the rotor. So it goes zero from, let us say 3000 RPM, it comes down to 2950. Again, it goes back to trying to go back to 3000. But before it reaching to 3000, again, it will be cut off and it will be coming down. That's why the rotor of an induction motor will be rotating at a different speed. That is, we call it as a rated speed. We call it as less than the synchronous speed. Hence, to generate a current and torque, the difference between the stator and rotor speed has to be maintained. That's why in an induction motor, if you take a catalog, in the top they write as synchronous speed 3000 RPM, 1500. There will be a rated speed will be written. The rated speed will be less than the synchronous speed. The difference between the synchronous speed and rated speed is called a slip. We call it. Usually it will be 2 to 7%. This is the principle of a induction motor. So some of the parts of the induction motor, most widely used motor industry. As per the 2018 and 19 survey, the total motors produced in the world, if you take, out of which 90% motors are induction motors only. Please note this point. Almost 90% of the motors are induction motors only. 10% is DC and special motors and everything is coming to that. So that level induction motors are used because it is the simplest motor and it can start its own way by just connecting a power supply to that. Of course, single speed, variable speed, that we'll talk about it. So mostly widely used motor in industry. Again, as I told you, this is also called a squirrel cage motor because the rotor bars, when we assembled, it looks like a squirrel cage, it seems. I have not seen a squirrel cage. If you have seen it, if you understand. Why they call it a squirrel cage? I'm trying to explain to you. So you don't get confused when people are talking. I'm using a squirrel cage motor. Somebody says induction motor. All are same. Squirrel cage, induction, and asynchronous motor. All the names are same only. Output speed is lesser than input speed. As I will explain. So average slip will be about 2 to 7%. Here again comes this. Lower the power motor. That means if you are taking 0.5 kilowatt, 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt motors, this slip will be very, very low. Whereas if you take 30 kilowatt, 50 kilowatt, the slip will be less. So your if the slip is more, the rotor speed will be almost nearer to stator speed will come. So higher the power of the motor, the slip will be less. One more important thing, please note. I can show you the catalog. I will show you the catalog and slip and power factor. Slip, as we discussed, stator flux speed minus rotor speed. Induction motor rotates at rated speed. Synchronous motor rotates at synchronous speed, what we get. So the equation is slip is equal to ns minus n by ns into 100, which is not a, we can calculate just for information. I'm giving you this. Then comes your power factor. In AC motor, there's one important thing called power factor will be there. So if you see this graph here, this triangle, this one, I mean, triangle, if you see here, this is PSQ. If you take Q is called an apparent power, we call it as. P is the actual power, S is the input power. So if you see here, PF power factor is equal to real power transmitted P by apparent power, S is there. So real power measured will be VI. Here one important thing we have to see is there are two powers will be coming into the AC motor. One is input power and another one is output power. Input power we call it what is nothing but voltage what is supplied to that and how much current it is drawn. So real power or measured power in the input power it will be it is V into I, that is voltage into current. Here will be there, that is called real power. What is input has been given. So apparent power is called kVA. S, it is kilowatt ampere, we call it as. So Q is called the reactive power here. Reactive power is the power used to produce the magnetic flux. That means power used to produce magnetic flux means when you are given a supply of apparent power of S kVA, when you are given the supply to that, it will to rotate the rotor you using some current you are producing it. For that is magnetic flux will be created in the rotor, which in turn will give you a current to rotate just to the rotor itself without any load, any load or rotating. We require certain power has to be used. That is called a reactive power. Actually, that doesn't mean, it means that is the loss of power. You are giving, let us say, VA 5 kilowatt power, you are giving it through electrically, and 0.25 watts, 0.25 kilowatt of or 250 watts of power will be used for giving a flux to the rotor, which in turn rotates the rotor. So that will be always a loss, which is not useful at all. The output power will be the mechanical power whichever is coming into that. That will be, we call it as VI will be calling a real power will be there. So always there will be loss of power will be there, which is called a reactive power. If you give reactive power very less and less, then the phi will become almost 0. That is always better for that. So what is happening here? So PF is nothing but cos phi. We call it as cos phi into. Okay, PF is equal to cos phi. That is equal to P by S. We know that P by S. This is equal to cos phi. So if the phi value is 0, what happens? If phi value is 0 means cos 0 is 1. That means P will become equal to S. It means what? Q will become 0. Q will become 0 means the amount of power loss which is happening to rotate the rotor will be a Q. That is what? If you can make that loss will be very less and less, then the P by S will become, power factor will be more. In other words, if you, as I told, and load increases, the reactive power decreases and vice versa. That means when you are loading the motor more and more, let us say motor has to be, what you purchased is 7.5 kilowatt motor. And if you are loaded completely 7.5 kilowatt to that, then what happens? Your reactive power will come down very drastically. And will come. That means power factor will become almost zero. So if motor is loaded more, Q reduces and PF increases. If motor is loaded less, Q increases and PF decreases. Okay, sir, what way this is going to affect us? In other words, whatever motor you are taking, AC motor, when you are procuring it, you try to load it to 100%. So running a motor at 100% is always better than running it at 50%. You may say that, sir, when 7.5 kilowatt, if I run at 5.5 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt, I'm using it, means, yes, you may, electrical bill may come down, but actual efficiency of the motor will be not at all will be good, and you will be, the factor 5 will be very, very high. It will be very high. So you will be having lot of losses, unnecessary losses will be there, which always, whether you rotate or not motor, always there will be losses will be more. So always it is better to have motor to be loaded more than loaded less. So when you take optimization, when we are talking, when you select a motor for a power, let us say 7.5, you require about 5 kilowatt motor you require. You try to go for 5.5 kilowatt and you don't go for 7.5 kilowatt. Because although you may feel that I got more kilowatt availability is there, my motor may not burn. It may not burn, but your everyday losses of the power will be more and more will be there. So never have a gap of so much of kilowatt in this. Try to be very near to whatever requirement you have. 5 kilowatt means 5.5 kilowatt is available. You try to. Of course, there is one problem is in AC motors, you will not get all the powers. Every 0.5 kilowatt you don't get. There are fixed powers are there. Kilowatt power only you will get the motors. So we have to go to the very nearest to the power and start using the motor so that your PF will be less and motor can work very nicely. Mass and weight. This already everybody knows, but a lot of people get confused here is between a mass and weight. Mass is the amount of material that is available in the given item. That is the amount of matter in an object. So the unit is kg. Please, I think most of you are following SI units. Please don't get confused. Wherever we are using an SI units kg, it is nothing but a mass. It is not weight. It is not a weight, sir. Weight in SI units, always we should use Newton. Because weight is equal to mass into gravity. Mass is kg, g is mm per second square. It comes to kg mm per second square is 1 Newton. So whenever you are using a units, be careful. Wherever kg it is coming, it is mass. Don't use it for weight nowadays, because old catalogs and all still they are using kg only. Be careful when you are using that kg. Try to find out and using in the equations. Like somebody has asked NT by 9550. So NT by 550, always I use Newton meters when you use. If you use their kg meters and all, be careful with the value. Then 9550 you should not use. You should do 974 you have to use at that point. So be careful with weight and mass. So mass we are here in our this one where we use is for measuring inertia. We use mass. That is called, that's why we call it as mass moment of inertia. Okay, mass moment of inertia, nothing but what is the mass moment of inertia? It is the resistance of a rotating body to change its angular velocity about an axis of rotation. That means if you are having any object with a certain mass, if you are moving from the rest or steady state to a required speed, it starts showing resistance. You have to overcome the resistance of the given body. So the resistance, what it shows is called the mass moment of inertia. We call it as. It may be from starting to the required speed or changing from one speed to another speed also. Suppose you are running this one at 1500 RPM and suddenly you want to bring it to 1200 or you want to increase it to 1800. At that time also inertia is very important, because to move it from one place to another place, you take some time. That is called acceleration. So when you are taking acceleration is very important for us. During the acceleration, important thing we require is inertia will come into picture here. Higher the mass, higher the inertia overcome. So it is called mass moment of inertia. The equation is m into r square. M is the mass, r is the radius at which the mass is moving, mr square. In some cases, as I showed you in our catalog, Indian catalog, inertia referred to as GD square, it is called flywheel. So here instead of radius, they consider diameter. Hence, wherever GD square, if they're given it, when you are converting into mass moment of inertia, that value of that to be divided by 4. If GD square value is there, to convert it into mass moment of inertia, you divide it by 4, or GD square is equal to 4 into J, there is nothing but 4 into MR square. So mass moment of inertia MR square if you want, GD square divided by 4. In the catalogs, if you see GD square, you divide it by 4 and consider that as mass moment of inertia kg meter square. You have to, that is also kg meter square. This is also kg meter square, but their GD square they were calculating with reference to D diameter radius. This is very, very important here. In Indian catalogs, most of the places they give GD square. If you take international catalogs, they give you MR square. So values will be quite different. Don't get confused. Please clearly see it is GD square or MR square. If it is GD square has been given, divided by 4, you do it for MR square for our calculations. Please be careful. You can see in this picture, maybe how many of you have seen ice hockey or ice skating or skating when you are doing it. It is an ice skating. This lady initially what she does is she keeps her hands away from her body and starts accelerating it. Once she accelerated to the required speed, she brings down her hands to very, very near to that, and also legs also very nearer to that. So what happens? The same, here also same mass, here also same mass, whereas radius is less here. Because radius is less here, she can go to very, very high speed. I don't know how many of you have seen this skating, sir, in gymnastics. In next time when Olympics or something comes, please see and understand this, why she is doing it like this. So here what is happening, to get the required speed, very high speed and to within the given time. So the radius is not able to control mass because her mass is same. Radius she is bringing it down so that the speed at which she want to reach at very rapid time, she is able to achieve it. So this is the advantage of that MR having the same mass with respect to what axis it is rotating also important. That's what I'm telling. If the axis is different, again it will be, you can see here, another example. This is the same component. This is also same component. Here the axis is very small. Here the axis is very high. So what happens? This will rotate, this requires more, this is having more inertia, this will have more inertia. So moment of inertia of this is more or this is more? Yeah, this is wrong because the radius is more for the same. So with respect to what axis you are rotating, that is also important when you are considering the moment of inertia. So this is a simple circular body, it is okay, but we may get different bodies. It may be hollow cylinder, it may be solid cylinder, vertical here, it may be sphere like things. So for that, the mass moment of inertia equations have been given. This you can get it even from Google or anything, because this I don't want to discuss why it has come. These are all important when you are calculating acceleration torque. When you are calculating, this is very, very important, sir.